What's going on, Geminites? It's your boy Gem Mint. Welcome back to the channel. Everybody was telling me to review this Spider-Man life story. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I'm a big fan of Chip Zdarsky, and Mark Bagley is like one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man artists, so it seemed like a no-brainer. But what? This book was crazy. We're going to talk about Spider-Man life story. Before we jump into it, I want you guys to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm dropping daily content. You guys are quarantined. You got nothing to do. I don't want you to miss a video, so hit the notification bell. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button at the end. I'm going to jump into Spider-Man life story, and I'm going to give you a brief overview before I go into spoiler territory. So this is a 6-issue series that follows Spider-Man through 6 decades, right? Because he's been around since 1963, but he's only like 30 years old. So how does that happen? So basically the concept is, okay, he became Spider-Man in the 60s. 4 years later, it's 1967. He's dealing with the war. A lot of people are enlisting. Flash Thompson's going to go fight in Vietnam. Captain America is like publicly torn on what he should do. He's already served his country, and he doesn't really know if he agrees with this war. And it makes a lot of sense. And I kind of thought that's what this was going to be about. I thought this book was going to be about like a realistic take on Spider-Man throughout the decades, right? How would Spider-Man be in the 70s, in his 20s, and in the 80s, and his 30s, and so on. And it's like that for the first issue, and then this book goes off the rails. First of all, I want to talk about Mark Bagley. He's my favorite 90s Spider-Man artist. I don't know what is different now that I don't like his artwork as much. I feel like maybe it's his transition to digital, that his lines just aren't as tight as they were or as sharp. I don't know. It's just not really the same Bagley. And Chip Zdarsky, I really enjoy his Daredevil run. This was just weird. This was a weird book. The reason why it's weird is because once we get out of the 60s and we go into the 70s, the Spider-Man canon as we know it goes completely out the window. And this is where it's going to get into some spoiler territory, because Chip basically says, we're going to change everything from here on out. Spider-Man is married to Gwen Stacy. She doesn't die at the hands of the Green Goblin. Mary Jane is married to, Harry Osborn. And it just gets weirder and weirder from there. The 70s arc deals with Professor Miles Warren, and then we start to get like some hints of the Clone Saga, which is kind of like true to canon. But there's just a lot of differences, and they modernize the story a lot. Dr. Octopus is good. It's the era where he's married to Aunt May, which does tie in later to the story. It's just pretty weird. Jumping into the 80s, it's, Peter he's in his 30s. At this point, it's established that Gwen Stacy was a clone. The original one was held captive by Miles Warren, who doesn't turn into the Jackal. And basically, she runs off with the clone of Spider-Man, Ben Reilly. So then Peter does end up marrying Mary Jane. They have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. And they don't really have a good marriage at all. He's off as Spider-Man. During the 80s, he's in Battle World during the original Secret Wars, and he's gone for like 3 weeks. There's a huge war on Earth while they're in Battle World, and a nuclear bomb goes off. It was supposed to go to New York, but the remaining Avengers had to go off in like, mid-country. And things just get weirder from there. He does get the symbiote, but you don't have any Eddie Brock here. You basically get a mixture between Kraven's Last Hunt and the Venom stuff, where Kraven ends up becoming Venom. And, at this point, Spider-Man, we go into the 90s, and he's in his 40s, and we get kind of a reinterpretation of Civil War. And the book just kind of gets darker and darker from there until we end up in outer space with the symbiote and Miles Morales at the end here. But I didn't expect what we got here. I was totally blown away how off the wall they ended up going with this. I kind of thought it was going to be like a realistic take, and it was far from that. A lot of people praise this book. A lot of people really like this and recommend it. I think I'm in the minority when I wasn't really feeling it. I maybe because I expected something else, but I just thought it was so weird, and the decisions they made were just so crazy that I just wasn't really with it. All right, let's take a look at the inside of Spider-Man life story here. So you can see the creative team. Quick little origin here, but basically it starts off in '66, and Spider-Man has been Spider-Man for 4 years. Yeah, see, it doesn't remind me of 90s Bagley. I don't know what it is that's different about it. Anyway, you can see they're protesting the war. That's kind of a big theme of the first issue. Kind of like the first glimpse of the Gwen Stacy relationship here. You know, the Green Goblin and Norman Osborn play a part here. Here's the Cap stuff where he's talking about him torn on if he's going to enlist or not. Jumping into the 70s. Yeah, Flash is dead. He died in battle. Reed Richards, super old, and Peter works with him. Cap actually, in Vietnam, decides to defend the Vietnamese and kind of gets labeled as a traitor. Yeah, Harry is super, like, depressed and on drugs. He's with Mary Jane. Here goes the Miles, Warren Miles stuff. Yeah, so here's Gwen and Ben Reilly figuring out that they're clones and going to live their own life. Peter ends up with Mary Jane. But then you jump into the 80s where Mary Jane, you know, she has kids. She's by herself. Peter's not even there. Aunt May is getting very old. She's starting to get like dementia or Alzheimer's or something. There's the Secret Wars battle, getting the symbiote. Then you have Kraven the Hunter impersonating him. Kind of like, Kraven's Last Hunt. Spider-Man Buried Alive. But see, then they kind of show like Spider-Man venoming out. More so than like having an Eddie Brock in the story. Oh, and they do play the whole Clone Saga thing where really Ben Reilly was Peter Parker the whole time and he was really gone the whole time. So the clone takes that opportunity to leave it all behind. When you get into the 2010s, you get the Moreland stuff, and that's when Peter's kids are older and they have powers. At the same time, Civil War is happening. And then it ends in the 2010s with Miles Morales, and we get the Venom symbiote comes back. But they actually do a superior Spider-Man twist where Doc Ock is in Miles Morales, and basically the way that he defeats Doc Ock is by the Aunt May thing, because Doc Ock is still in love with Aunt May. And that's pretty much it. So that's how it ends. It's basically ends with Miles Morales getting his consciousness back and him taking on the mantle of Spider-Man. Spider-Man having visions of him changing the past with him stopping the burglar rather than letting him escape. And I don't really know what the end was supposed to signify. Maybe him just dying and kind of living this out in his last moments. But yeah, that's it. Then you have some variants in the back. A little Scotty Young variant, Michael Cho. I like this. What is that? Carrie Andrews. This is an awesome cover. I like that Lamborghini Countach on the front. Kraven as Venom. Anyway, that's my take on Spider-Man Life Story. Chip Zdarsky, Mark Bagley. You have some other creators on here as well, I think. Oh yeah, Mark Bagley did the pencils, but you had John Dell and Andrew Hennessy as the inkers, Frank D'Armata as a colorist, and VC's Travis Lanham as the letterer. Let me know what you guys thought about Life Story in the comments below. Do people like this because it was just a different take and it was a little bit of the unexpected? Is that like kind of the draw on this book? Like I said, guys, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like button. I appreciate you watching. Stay minty fresh. Peace.
They're saying I'm harmless, call me Cassidy, I'm bringing the carnage. Story the farthest, I'm a psychopath with a joker's lab bipolar. So there's two of me and only one of you, so do the math. I leave you stunned without the flash. No Wally West, no Barry Allen, reverse flash. They can't stand it, comic flow, they can't stand it. I'm incredible, unforgettable, something like Mint Collectibles, ayy. I'm a Gemini and we get it right. We amazing, no spider bites, so we doing reviews and getting the views. Venom my ooze, book of the week, come see me Wednesday and see what I choose. If it's about comments, then I got the news. Subscribe to the channel and you'll never lose, ayy. I show what I got and what's in the box. On top of my comments whenever they drop. Tell you what's coming and tell you what's hot. We keep it professional, we Mint Collectibles.